customers keep shopping you, it's not because your price is too high. It's because they don't feel any risk in losing you. Then there's the shoppers. Well, they're the ones that only care about price. That is the lie that sellers believe. So if the customers are still shopping you, you're not in a pricing problem, you're in a preference problem. And until you fix that, you'll always be the quote, not the choice. Hi, my name is Stevenson Brooks, and I'm your host. Welcome to Last Look Live. Today we're talking about shoppers. We're trying to understand why they shop, what they're doing, what's it all about. If you quote a lot and don't know you're going to win, then this is for you. Customers they've got a process. They're going to ask you for a quote, or you're going to ask to quote them, and then we're going to wait, and then they're going to ghost you the second you want to find out what's happening, and you're going to lose, and then you repeat it. So this is just for those types of customers. So I don't want to confuse it. You have some partners, and those are great, and they buy from you regularly. They love you. They don't even quote anybody else. They're just like, I just want to work with you. You're the magic stuff. That's all I need. Great. Don't change that. Keep those there. And then you have some customers that you never even quote. They don't even look at you. That's fine. Okay. What we're talking about today, though, is the shoppers. You know it. When I start asking my customers, my students, tell me about your customers, they always come up with this category. Oh, yeah, then there's the shoppers, Steve. Oh, who's the shopper? Well, they're the ones that only care about price. That's all they care about. That is the lie that sellers believe. If customers shop because they're price-driven, then it would only be about price, and then you wouldn't have any partners. And you wouldn't have any people that don't ask you for a quote. It wouldn't make sense. There would be no calls, there would be no conversations, there would be no last looks. And that's how I know it's a lie, it's not the truth. Shoppers only exist when there is uncertainty. Okay, so let's break it down. The shopper's either gonna have no preference, so they literally don't care who they work with. There's gonna be no risk, no downside to switching, so they can just leave at any time. And there's no relationship leverage. You're interchangeable. You see, if they wanted you, they wouldn't shop you. So let's break it down. Okay, so if they don't care who they work with, what would that mean? Their job in their business is to buy materials from you or companies like you. That's their core business. They don't get to do their job unless you are providing materials for them. Literally the supply and demand type thing. You're the supplier of the materials. And again, I'm talking to a lot of ready mix and aggregate sellers today. But if you're in other industries, it's the similar type of thing. If you're selling materials, if you're a supplier, if you're selling into even a contractor, if you're the actual sub, they need you to do the work. They can't get the job done without you. Okay. So if they have no preference, that means they have never been burned before. That means that they like to gamble. That means that I don't even know how to put my finger on it. As you know, last week I had some technical difficulties. Well, I have preference of tools that I like to work with. Are you on a PC or on a Mac? Are you using this kind of a telephone or that kind of a telephone or smartphone or whatever it is? You know, like we all have this preference. And if our job depended on it, like my job literally does. I need lighting and sound and cameras and a computer and a stable internet connection. If I was just like, whatever, who cares about the internet? And then all of a sudden this connection got crappy? That doesn't make sense. So my business depends on a few things. So I'm going to make sure that I know exactly who I want to work with. And I have a preference because I'm going to look into all the features and benefits that I would get of that. The problem is that when you're selling concrete, you somehow think that it just doesn't matter. Concrete's concrete. Rocks are rocks. Cement's pipe's pipe. If that's truly what it is, then I think that we haven't done our job. That's why they're shopping, because they don't know that there's a difference in customer service, even in the quality of the material. I mean, Lord knows, I tell an ops guy that rocks are rocks and they about punch me in the face. Are you kidding me, Steve? There's huge differences. And I've heard people say that they like this concrete over that one because it's creamier, it's easier to finish. They like drivers, there's so much variation. So if there's no preference, we haven't done our sales job because they don't know, and they should know. So either they're lying to us, like I said, customers are lying. They're lying to us, trying to get us convinced that there is no difference just so that we fight amongst each other. Give them a discount. Or they are literally they don't seem to know that there's a difference. They don't get it. Now, I could see this like an estimator not knowing that the guys in the field actually prefer to work with you. But the estimators are like, well, but they cost a lot. Why are we using them? And I don't know that the estimators talk that way. I just joke. But, you know, That's my I shouldn't be deciding voice. But, you know, like the estimator may not get it because he doesn't work or she doesn't work with the product out there in the field. Got it. And maybe the guys in the field don't get it because the billing process sucks. The ordering process sucks. And so the guys in the office are just like, oh, it's killing me to work with this company, but we love it out in the field. I don't know, but there's preference. All right. Number 2, there's no risk. You see, if there's no downside to switching, why not? Here's a couple things that I remember. In my youth, there was a time you had to pay for long distance. Can you imagine? So for those of you that have enough gray hair, you're going to remember that we used to pay a fortune for long distance phone calls. Nowadays, you can call anywhere and pretty much it's free. But back in the day, it was very expensive. And there was this moment in time, kind of like the AI or the NFT, or it was the pop thing at that moment was calling people collect, 1-800-collect. Or it was like 1-800-call-ATT. They had like these, it was calling collect, and all the numbers, the price per minute to call somebody were starting to drop. And so you were paying 14 cents, now it's 12 cents, now it's 10 cents, now it's 8, now it's 7. And I remember I would get phone calls all the time asking if I would switch carriers. Come to Sprint, we'll save you a half a cent. Well, I didn't do a lot of long distance at the time, so for me, there was no real benefit in switching. And if I switch, was the coverage gonna be the same? Yeah, pretty much the same. So I would switch a little bit, and then eventually I started getting to the point where like, really, I'm gonna save 1 penny a minute, and I do an hour's worth of calls a month? Like it's more hassle to switch than it is to actually get the benefit of the price. But everyone fought. They fought and fought and fought and fought. And it turns out that after a while, it just became that, it's not worth the fight. It's not even worth the switching. It would be too inconvenient for me to switch to save the money. So the downside of switching was actually started becoming the hassle of actually switching, which reminds me of another commercial. I think it was Allstate Insurance, and they would literally say, we'll call and break up for you. I don't know if you remember those commercials. Those aren't as old. But the guy would literally say, I think he was the big guy with a deep voice, we'll call and do it for you, at Allstate or whatever, right? But he would call, what they said was in their sales process, don't worry about it. We will call State Farm and break up for you. You don't have to do it, because they knew that someone would get a better deal, and then they'd call their agent and say, hey, I need to cancel my thing. I'm moving over to Allstate. And they go, wait, whoa, why are you leaving? So they would actually do the breakup for them. See, they were making the switching easier because the downside to switching was too big. There was a problem there. Now let's talk about some other bigger type of issues. If you've been old enough in this industry, you know there was a time that it was really a lot of risk to get off of Lotus Notes. Lotus 1, 2, 3. Like the older the company is in this industry, the older the archaic systems that they had. And then they switched to some things, and then eventually like even getting to like switching to Outlook was a huge thing for the industry because the risk of changing all the systems is huge. So they stay loyal to certain brands because the downside of switching is humongous. So think about it in your business. Is there no risk in switching? Is that why they can just say, I'll work with brand X today and brand Y tomorrow and brand C? Like, is that why they can do it? Is because there's just no risk at all in switching? There's no thing that gives them any benefit, perk. There's no downside to switching. So they could just do it, and maybe they can. Maybe you set it up so that when they switch to you, it's easy, and when they switch back to the competitor, it's easy as well. I don't know what kind of resistance we can do in there, but the key is in their mind, they see no difference. So either no preference, I don't care, you guys are all the same. No risk, I can switch mid-job, doesn't matter. Except there's mixed designs, there's approvals, there's teams working in communication, there's changing phone numbers, and so we ordered from the wrong company and we don't have the account there anymore, and oops, we forgot to tell the people, and then we billed it the wrong way and we forgot to pay, and now we're cut off. Like, there's so much risk. We've got to help somebody see those types of things. And then finally, the relationship leverage, that somehow you are interchangeable. I recently did a boot camp. I printed everybody up their playbook, workbooks, and on the inside cover, I put, people buy from people, you are the product. I was trying to think of something motivation I could say that would really sum up like a lot of what I teach, and it really is that the salesperson is the product. You're the Tony the Tiger on that box of flakes that are frosted. You are the product. And so if the customer thinks that we're all the same, that means they're basically saying, they're looking at you and saying, you're all the same. You are the same. There's no difference between you, my salesperson, and brand X's salesperson and brand Y's salesperson. And if that's the case, we got problems. Again, all of these are sales problems. not customer problems. You see, the customer being a shopper is a symptom, not the actual problem. And I think that's where we get stuck. The second as a salesperson that I blame the customer and say, oh, I know their type. They're a shopper. All they care about is price. Well, then we haven't done our job, and it gives us like a pass to not do our job. It gets you off the hook. It allows you to say, what do you want me to do, Steve? They only care about the number. Have you ever bought something and you regretted buying it? Of course you have. We all have. We've been burned before. Maybe we bought something because it looked too good to be true, and it was. Maybe we bought something that was cheap and then it turned out it broke and we got what we paid for. Maybe we spent a bunch of money on something that was expensive and we got burned because it really wasn't that much better. We've all had these experiences of buying stuff and getting burned. And so it makes us educated shoppers, educated consumers. And I think that's the key component to this as well. When I say that they're not a shopper, they just don't know the value, they just don't understand the risk of switching, they just don't know the relationship leverage that they have and understanding what they can get from you. They're not a dumb shopper. They're not just gonna be like, hey, you should buy from me because I'm cool and the other guys suck. Like, they're an educated consumer. They're gonna make good decisions, but they have their history. Every single customer of yours has got a history of what they've gone through. Here's a quick example. Some people like to say, Steve, this guy likes to spread his work around. Spread his work around. What does that mean? Well, he likes to give it to 2 or 3 of the suppliers in town, or the major suppliers or whatever. Or maybe he's got a major supplier and he's also got a mom and pop that he keeps on the back burner. Why do they do that? To mitigate risk. They've been burned before. They put all of their eggs in one basket. Like every saying we have comes from being burned, right? So they put all their eggs in one basket and then now realize like, oh, that was a mistake, caused me some harm. So in the future, I'm going to not have that happen again. And I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to spread my work around because they see risk. How do we overcome the risk? Like, let's talk to the customer about that. Let's figure that out. What are they missing because of that? Well, they split up their volume. So they're now going to, it could be confusing for them. There could be risk of having it go to 2 different suppliers. There could be risk of putting the wrong supplier at the wrong job at the wrong time with the wrong mix, the wrong equipment. I mean, there's just so many things that could be on the other side of that risk. As a salesperson, we need to fix those things. Just because they say, I like to spread my work around, we don't go, oh, okay, we're done. Thanks, whatever. The guy's always going to spread his work around. That's what he said. Well, I don't know if that's the case. We need to understand what that means. So that's risk. What about the one who's ever low at bid time? They're the ones that get it. Now, first of all, I always think that's a little bit of BS, but maybe it's not. Okay, we'll take that guy at face value. Whoever's low at bid time is going to get the work. Okay, so you better come with your best and final. So what do we know from that? Well, now we're into, okay, is that risk? It sounds like there's this relationship leverage and no preference again, right? Whoever is the cheapest is the one I'll go with. Why? Well, because first of all, they don't want to negotiate. Well, that probably means they got burned in the past. They negotiated with somebody, worked it out, and then got burned. So now they're like, I just want to keep this simple for me. I don't want to waste my energy. I don't have to deal with people. Maybe they don't even like saying no to people. So they set up these rules. I only take the lowest number and I only do it at bid time. They're just trying to simplify their process, probably because they're afraid. One of my favorite things when I first started learning how to sell was if you see a no solicitor sign outside, oh, they definitely need to be solicited. See, because they're putting the sign out there because they have a hard time saying no to people. That's what it is. So now this customer is telling me, I don't like to be talked into things. I don't like to change my mind. I like to just keep my decision process simple. And I want to put all of you in the same bucket. I think there is no difference between every one of the suppliers. So I need to be able to figure out how to understand the risk behind that. So now we look at the other side. Okay, so if I understand his position, he's afraid to negotiate. He doesn't want to talk to people after bid time. He doesn't want to pick a preference. He wants to treat them all as the same person. Okay, so if these are the things that he doesn't like, what are the risks that come into play if he doesn't have those things? If at bid time he goes with just the cheapest one and gets burned by it, what's going to happen next time? Do it again? Lather, rinse, repeat? Lowball Larry's going to screw you over one more time again? You're going to keep putting the risk of your jobs because the cheapest guy came in and then screwed you over? Like, are you in the business of making your customer unhappy? Are you in the business of paying overtime? Are you in the business of having your, hair turn gray from the frustration? Why? Because of this principle that you have of, I don't give anybody last look. I don't want to pick who I want to work with and tell them to sharpen their pencil. Why not? And if you noticed, you're on the Last Look Live program. I think that's where we want to head them. But so there's that guy. So the key here is I'm every scenario, and this is what I do in my coaching, is that every scenario that I hear, I just want to have a move or two that I can figure out how to deal with it. And if moves are hard for you as a salesperson, let's think of them as techniques. If I'm a batter and you're going to throw me a curveball, I should probably practice some curveballs and make sure I know how to hit them. I can't just go, whoa, hey, what are these curveballs? Can you just throw me strikes, please? I just like it right here so I can hit that ball. But they're not going to cooperate. They're trying to strike you out. You see, it's a game. So your prospect, your customer, is trying to get you to do what? What do they want? What's their motivation? They want the best service they can get at the cheapest price. But they need you, so they have to trick you into giving it to them. So they tell you things like, everybody's saying your service actually sucks, but they also say things like, if it was up to me, I'd give you the work, or we want to go with you. They say these things to entice you and then say, but your price is too high. What are you going to do about your price? Price. They're trying to strike us out. Got it. What's our job? Well, we're trying to actually give them the least amount of service. I know it's crazy. And charge them the highest price. What? Well, see, if we only had one customer, we could give them the best service they've ever got. But we've got more than that. And that's where it starts getting complicated, right? When you've got 100 customers you're taking care of today, you can't give everybody VIP service. It just starts having troubles. And one customer you're taking care of means 3 more behind them might get screwed because they held the truck up late. We have to get off this idea that best service is going to win. And if we want to make money in our job, we need to actually go get the price that we need. So best price, lowest price is not going to win either. We need to get the best price we can at the most reasonable service we can offer without losing a customer. And that's what I think a salesperson does. So if someone's shopping us, let's figure out what those pieces are so that we can have a gameplay for it, so that we know how to hit that and practice it. Some of you know my partnership progression. Partner is the best that I have. That's my A customer, partner. I never get shopped. They don't ask me for price reductions. I take care of them. They take care of me. They actually want me to be in business. Pretty cool. Last Look is that next layer below it on the way to partner. And that's where I'm less shopping. But now they're basically telling me, listen, I have a preference. It's with you. But is there any way that you could charge me less? Is there any way you could charge me the price that the other guy's charging me that I don't want to work with? If you could do that, that would be awesome. That would be really helpful. Of course it would. And then my lower category there, somebody that you're getting work with, is called quote and hope. And these people are the shoppers. I call them quote and hope because I think that's what the seller is doing. We're just quoting and hoping they buy from us. The seller wants to call them shoppers so they can go, what do you want me to do, Steve? How can I prevent a shopper from shopping? Well, hopefully you've been hearing that today. So before you quote another quote and hoper customer, another shopper, change our language up a little bit. Hey, I'm curious, if all the prices came back the same at bid time, who would you go with? Who would you pick and why? If 2 of the guys came back and they were both dead tied at lowest, how would you decide between the 2 of them? Then what would happen? And just get them to talk. We got to find this out. If they can't answer it, you're about to get shopped. But if they have a preference, it may not be you. Let's find out. But we got to get our language in there. We got to get mindset. Your headspace has to be, there's no such thing as a shopper. There's just somebody who doesn't quite get it yet, or is trying to convince me that they don't get it, or that they are a shopper. But if you believe that shopping exists, then you're going to give up way before I ever do. So believe that it's not a shopper problem. It's a salesperson problem. Okay? It's not price. It's not the market. It's not your competition. It's that you haven't been chosen yet. They haven't decided on you. That's it. And we're in the influence the industry, influence the market, influence the customer business. That's why we're in outside sales. Some of you might be inside sales. Same thing, just you guys do a little bit differently. Some of you are in dispatch. But as an outside salesperson, we're allowed to leave the building. We're allowed to go outside. But I think the only reason we're there is to influence the sale. Because I got to tell all of you, and I've probably said it in every one of these sessions, if it is about price, I don't believe it is. But if you believe it is, and let's just say, if you're right, we're not going to have jobs for much longer. The AI bot will remember every single sales transaction ever done in the entire marketplace that you work in since the beginning of time. It'll know every level of product in every quarry. It'll know every amount of cement and ags you have at every ready-mix plant ready to go. It'll know what admixtures to put when and where and how with backup. And I mean, it'll know everything and can create a quote in 0.2 seconds, and it will know pricing. So if it is about being the best quoter out there, the AI will do a better job of it than you. So you can wait around and see what happens, and we'll all handshake you today and we'll see what happens. But I don't think that's the case. I think that people buy from people and you are the product. The commodity is not the product. I know you think it is. They can get the product in multiple places. So therefore, the thing that's the preference, the thing that helps them decide is the experience, is the salesperson. It's the difference. And that's what our job is, to find those differences, exploit them, and get somebody to pick us, even if they shouldn't, because maybe our service isn't perfect. Pick us, even if they shouldn't, because our price is a little bit higher. Pick us because they want to work with us and they're willing to drive farther, wait longer, and pay more for what we have to offer. So if the customers are still shopping you, you're not in a pricing problem, you're in a preference problem. And until you fix that, you'll always be the quote, not the choice. You'll always be the one that they look to keep their choice honest, but you won't be the one that is the choice. So I think we might have successfully pulled off a LinkedIn Live, Last Look Live session today. So I appreciate you sticking around. Call me, text me, email me, DM me if you have any questions. All my information is right there. It's my personal cell phone, is my number. So I am available to you. I just want to say thank you for showing up. And we'll continue the journey of trying to get more last looks and fewer of these shoppers. I appreciate you. Thanks.